Yesterday on the show, we said that Donald Trump was oddly unfired up over the terror attacks over the weekend, but it turned out we just needed to wait because he did get fired up. Not about the violence or about doing anything about it, but about Barack Obama, who put out a statement about the shootings and appeared simply by his existence far more presidential than Donald Trump could ever hope to be. And because you have both that and Donald Trump being criticized for his rhetoric, which can contribute to these sorts of attacks, he lashed out against the former president. And his weapon of choice was Brian Kilmeade. He quoted Kilmeade from this morning's Fox and Friends saying, "Did George Bush ever condemn President Obama after Sandy Hook? President Obama had 32 mass shootings during his reign. Not many people said Obama is out of control. Mass shootings were happening before the president even thought about running for prez." So that was Brian Kilmeade, who, well, let's just brief little side note, said on the show this morning that he will continue to call the immigration situation we're currently experiencing an invasion, even though the El Paso terrorist used invasion and replacement theory language, even though the Tree of Life terrorist used invasion language. Brian Kilmeade loves the term so much, who cares if it inspires terror attacks? He's gonna keep using it. But with that, we'll return to Donald Trump. So why was Donald Trump so fired up about this? Why was Brian Kilmeade so fired up about this? Well, it's because of Obama's statement yesterday. And so I wanna read just a couple of short sections from it. Former President Barack Obama said, throughout his 8-year tenure, the former president, sorry, this is out of order, unfortunately. We should soundly reject language coming out of the mouths of any of our leaders that feeds a climate of fear and hatred or normalizes racist sentiments, leaders who demonize those who don't look like us, or suggest that other people, including immigrants, threaten our way of life, or refer to other people as subhuman, or imply that America belongs to just one certain type of people. And so, yeah, if you're Trump, you're not gonna like that. Not because it's inaccurate, but because it's about you, and he's a small little baby person, and he doesn't take criticism well. The former president goes on to say, such language isn't new. It's been at the root of most human tragedy throughout history, here in America and around the world. It has no place in our politics and our public life. And it's time for the overwhelming majority of Americans of goodwill, or every race and faith and political party, to say as much, clearly and unequivocally. Now, Donald Trump did say some things in the neighborhood of what Obama was calling for in his statements yesterday. That's true. It was sort of out of character for Donald Trump in the right direction. Now, yes, he did get the location of one of the terror attacks wrong. It was fumbling and weird, and obviously he hadn't written the words in the teleprompter. He hadn't read them previously, and his heart most certainly wasn't in them. But he did say somewhat the right thing. He blamed all the wrong things, and we'll be returning to that later on in the show. But the issue is that Donald Trump didn't come into existence when he stepped in front of that podium yesterday. He's been talking for a long time, and he's been saying all the wrong things. And so Donald Trump is frustrated that the former president is criticizing him. That's why he said, why didn't George W. Bush criticize Barack Obama? That's because the situations are different. It's not hypocritical if they're fundamentally different. And here's the problem. Donald Trump has been attacking Mexicans specifically and Mexican Americans since he descended down that golden escalator. He's been doing it constantly. It was not just the centerpiece of his 2016 campaign, it was multiple centerpieces of his campaign, and he's returned to it constantly ever since then. He has used violent rhetoric both towards that group. He's joked, he's laughed when people have talked about shooting them. He's called into question the loyalty of any Mexican American. He's joked about his followers punching protesters out and saying he would pay their legal fees. I mean, we could go through any number of these different things. Hell, we could just go through a couple of weeks ago when he said that any Congress people from outside of this country should probably be sent back where they belong. He picked an unnecessary racist feud with Representative Cummings. I mean, we don't have to go back that far. Caravans seem to pop up every time he gets excited about the immigration situation, mysteriously posing a threat when it's politically convenient for him. All of that needs to be borne in mind when you're deciding, is there a link between this terror attack and what Donald Trump has said and done? Now, there's far better researchers than I have already drawn direct parallels between particular Trump comments and particular components of the El Paso terrorist manifesto. It's all there. If you would like to make the case that Barack Obama is similarly responsible for things like Sandy Hook and other attacks that took place while he was president, feel free to do that. He was president for 8 years. He gave any number of public addresses. Draw the lines if they're there. Use the evidence that you assert is there, but refuse to actually find. That's what's missing here when people try to both sides this political violence. Now, in the case of this weekend, just as a small aside, we have the El Paso terrorist who drove across Texas because he wanted to kill Mexicans. Mexicans have of course been a big part of Donald Trump's rhetoric, as well as any number of right-wing politicians and right-wing commentators on things like Breitbart and Fox News and stuff like that. Now, similarly, people are getting all hot and bothered about the fact that the Ohio terrorist apparently held some left-wing views or supported some left-wing politicians. Now, if you're uncomfortable about what's been going on in El Paso, if you don't like the fact that this is shining a light on American conservatism and the link with it in political violence, then I understand why you would want to jump on the Ohio terrorist and say, it's all the same, we're all to blame. But here's the thing, you need to actually do the job of showing the connection there. It's unfortunate but true that literally everyone who commits a crime, everyone who commits a murder, everyone who commits a mass shooting probably supports some politicians and doesn't support others. But we can't simply say that they have a political motivation just because they have preferences. We need to show a logical cause and effect connection between the beliefs they had and why they committed the terror attack. So the guy in Ohio supposedly liked Elizabeth Warren. If you want to say that supporting Elizabeth Warren is linked with the terror attack he committed, then show me the statements, bring the receipts. What did Elizabeth Warren say that can reasonably lead to a person committing a terror attack? It's just not there. And honestly, they're not even trying to make that connection. They believe that him having liked a politician is enough. In El Paso, the connection is right there. There are any number of statements that you've seen on Fox News, that you've seen in Donald Trump's speeches that directly compare those two things. If you want to both sides, you're gonna have to do a little bit of research. And so in the same way that Trump is trying to do that with Obama, others are trying to do it with the two terror attacks from the weekend. And I think that considering the cost, considering the lives that have already been lost, the lives that might well be lost in the future, this is no time for fact-free both sidesing. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.